This is the IFF TV podcast.
Hello, Macadorish Football Fan TV. This is the League of Ireland show. It's our first League of Ireland review show of the season. We've had our first league game back. I'm joined by Gary Spain. Gary, first week back, what was it like getting to a game? What was the atmosphere like and so on? Obviously, you were at Treaty United and Wexford.
Yeah, it's great to be back, Paul. It feels like this has been the longest off season for years. And look, there's a great buzz around the league, and it's great to be back. It's great to see the big crowds, all the excitement about it. Okay, we didn't have exactly a huge crowd in Wexford, but it was great to get back out, even though the weather was awful. It's fantastic to have games back on a Friday night, and great to see.
Yeah, it's the same with Shells and all. Just great to see at Tolka, like so many fans, so many excited people, and I suppose in many ways it's great to see a lot of familiar faces again. Because there was, I know you said there about the off season and stuff like that, but like in saying that, I know we were lucky enough to get to work at games and stuff like that, but we weren't there was never really the same kind of atmosphere or feelings, probably. And I know we touch on, I always say the last game that me and you were at in the League of Ireland was the game that the 3-2 Jack Burns scored, the late winner for Shamrock Rovers against Dundalk, and Darragh Burns Jordan Flores scored the volley against Shamrock Rovers in that game, and that was a real kind of good test of how the season was going to be set up, and then boom, COVID happened, and it just feels like we kind of lost 2 years in the process, and now we're finally starting to see that in some ways the pandemic might have been a good thing for Irish football in terms of fans actually starting to support local clubs and realising that there is live football on their doorstep and they can go and see it, and there's so many young up and coming under 21 players, League of Ireland players that are getting into the national team now, and I think our fans and people are starting to see that now.
Yeah, no, no, we did get crowds back last season, but
I know, but it feels this season it's really back now.
It does. It feels it's really back, and I mean, look, I hate to see anyone missing out on a game, but it is really fantastic to see sellout crowds and full houses and people struggling to get tickets. I'd rather we could accommodate everyone that wants to go, but it does help even things like season ticket sales and everything. People say, "Guy, if I want to go and watch Shelbourne if I want to go and watch Bowes, I probably need to buy a season ticket now." And I mean, Shamrock Rovers season ticket sales in Tala have been absolutely phenomenal. Well over 3,000, I think, at last count, and that's probably old news at this point as well. So, particularly here in Dublin, there's a fantastic buzz around the league, but right around the country, there's and even in the first division, there's a buzz back in Waterford, a buzz back in Cork, in Limerick. I know people can't wait for the Markets Field next Friday night. Galway haven't even got going yet, but they came close last season. I'm sure they'll be thereabouts as well. And up in the northwest, been a bit unfortunate with Sligo and Harps having their games called off, but I'm sure their fans can't wait to get going as well.
Yeah, and I think that's the beauty of it, isn't it? It's just that all these different areas. I know, look, there's a lot of teams in the first division that aren't necessarily in Dublin and that surround in the kind of country areas and stuff like that. But I do think it's an exciting time for Irish football as a whole. The women's team are thriving at the moment. There's big eyes on that. The national team seems to be doing quite well, and people are getting behind it now as well. A lot of younger players getting brought through. Stephen Kenny, the under-21s are exciting to watch, and a lot of our players are moving to clubs like AC Milan and Inter Milan, like Cathal Heffernan and Kevin Zeffy and so on. And these lads are getting an opportunity in the League of Ireland now as well, and I think people are picking up on that, and they're seeing it as a chance to see these players before maybe they make the transfer across the way there, wherever it may be. But it's good time. It's a good exciting time, and I'm actually delighted to see it.
Yeah, no, it is great to see, and it's definitely, we've talked about this before, it's definitely got to become a younger league, but it's great to see our players. It is great to see them going abroad and going to the continent, and also going for decent money. I think our clubs have got a lot better. Shamrock Rovers in particular have got a lot better at getting, I think, proper value for our players, because I'm sure you like it from an Everton point of view, but Seamus Coleman going for 60 grand is just is just ridiculous. And I know the Everton fans have a song about it, but it's not a good look for our league. And I hopefully those days are gone. And I mean, obviously our best players are still going to go to the continent, going to go to the bigger leagues abroad or go to the UK, but they need to go for serious money, and just to it gets more respect into the league. And I think it's going to get more people go out and watch it as well. And that's happening. I mean, the crowds are clearly on the up. There's huge excitement around season ticket sales around the up, and it's great to see.
Yeah, I think even Off the Ball are starting to get involved with their Twitter Spaces show on a Friday night straight after the game, which is quite good. I was listening to that on the way back home from Tolka on Friday night, and I thought that was really good. And they were getting different personalities and different people on. Fans, they had Padraig Amond, I'm not sure how you pronounce it, but they had him on as well, and they just had a good mixture. It was quite good. But that's the type of thing that's going to get fans involved, because they're getting a chance to speak about it after the game and stuff like that, and it keeps everybody, I suppose, involved. But I suppose we'll start off anyway with the show. Like, Shamrock Rovers, we'll have to start with them since they are the defending champions. So they won 3-0 against UCD at home. Goals come from Sean Hoare, Daniel Mandreo and Graham Burke. It seems as though, from what I heard actually on that Off the Ball Twitter Spaces, is that Jack Byrne ran the show. And that is absolutely no surprise, because Jack Byrne doing Jack Byrne things at Tallaght Stadium is what we've known for a long time before he moved to Cyprus. The scoreline didn't really surprise me. I did feel like Shamrock Rovers were going to win the league, win the game, not win the league. But they probably will win the league anyway. But I thought they were going to win this game comfortably anyway, and it kind of showed. And the strength and depth when they're bringing players like Graham Burke off the bench to win the game. I mean, you'd feel sorry for UCD in some cases.
Yeah, no, I don't think this game is going to make or break UCD's season. And it did take Rovers a while to break them down. I think it was easy enough. It was always going to be, I think, a home win, 3 points for Rovers. They have tougher tests ahead. I think they're in the Brandywell next Friday night. But Jack Byrne running the show again. I didn't see any of this game, but it's hardly a surprise. It's great to have him back in the league. He is one of those players you'd actually pay to go and see on his own, irrespective of the opposition, just to go as a neutral and sit back and enjoy the show he puts on and the talent he has. And it's great to see it in our league. Chris Forrester, and you mightn't like me mentioning that, as another one who's in that bracket. But so it's no surprise Rovers won. They did take a while to break UCD down, which is probably a good sign for the students, because certainly from watching them last season, their talents are more in the attacking third rather than in defence. I don't think it's going to be any surprise UCD are going to be there or thereabouts in the bottom 2 or 3. And I think anything above bottom will probably be considered a successful season for them. And so hardly a surprise. Champions up and running. They are the champions. They're 2 in a row champions, and it's going to take a lot to stop them again this season.
Yeah, well, obviously they played the game against Pats last week, and they didn't look like themselves at all, really. They were quite slow, and everything was very pedestrian, but they ended up getting the late goal with Ronan Finn, and then obviously going on and winning on penalties. I think Stephen Bradley was fuming after that game, just at how complacent they were. And I think that's something that he doesn't want them to be. I think he wants them to come out of the traps early, because last season they were kind of slow to get going. I think most fans would say that too. They were just slow to get going, but I remember them being 1-0 down to Longford for a long period of that game, and managed to break them down eventually with a last minute equaliser. But honestly, like, I look at Shamrock Rovers and their squad, and I'm thinking, like, although they have so many players in a similar position, they are just so strong, and they've got players like Pico Lopez, Lee Grace. They've got, like, I know Alamanis, people have been kind of questioning whether he's good enough or not, but I still think he is top 3 in the league comfortably. And then you look around, you've got Neil Farouj. I know he went off an injury again, but he's just such a quality player. I hope his injury isn't too bad, because he was starting to hit the heights again. Daniel Mandreo, Scored a great header from a Jack Byrne ball into the box. So you got Robbie Gaffney, Aaron Green, and so on. They just have strength all over the place, and there's players I've mentioned like Dylan Watts and Graham Burke, Barry Cotter. They just like Stephen Bradley has done an amazing job in assembling a very, very good squad there. I'm sure I'm missing players as well. People will be jumping at me.
Yeah, Richie Towell, I think, did you mention him? Yeah.
No,
yeah.
So there you go.
Just so much talent. And Aaron Green, I think we forgot. I mean, there's so many more. And, I mean, Barry
Andy
Cotter,
Lyons,
who's superb for them. Andy Lyons is a great signing. Barry Cotter, who's superb from last season, just came off the bench for Neil Frugia when he went off in the first half as well. So it just shows the talent they have there. And did we mention even Ronan Finn as well? Look, and I'm sure they're still screaming at the screen saying the ones we've forgotten. But it is going to be, they're going to be the team to beat. Now, I will say Pats had a great season last season. They won the cup. They've also, they've lost their manager, but I think Tim Clancy will be an able replacement. They seem to have bought well as well. And Derry have certainly spent serious money and have assembled a really, really strong squad as well. So I don't think Rovers are going to have it all their own way, but it is going to be quite a title race. Hopefully, we will have a title race this season.
Yeah, well, I think it's going to be with the likes of Pats and Derry and so on. Is that the games that they face each other will be telling. So maybe next week against Derry will be a very important game, despite it being so early on in the league. So we'll have to wait and see on that. This week we didn't get any interviews after the game because our colleague David was sick with coronavirus, so he didn't go to the game, unfortunately. So I suppose we'll just jump straight into the Shelbourne game that I was at. Shells 0, St Patrick's at 3. Darragh Burns with an incredible goal to take the lead. Then they had the ball in the net from Mark Doyle, who intercepted a sloppy pass as well. He beat 2 or 3 players and stuck it in the net. Kind of a counter-attack goal. And then Jay McClellan scored a goal, which I actually missed because I was queuing up for, I would say, half an hour to get chips. It was ridiculous. It was so cold, standing behind the goal, trying to see things. And it felt like the queue wasn't moving. I had gone down twice, and the second time I went down, it was near the end of the game. I thought the queue would kind of die down a little bit, and I wasn't eating chips probably till the 80th minute, honestly. That's how long it took. But just with Shells, and obviously it's Damien Duff's first game, there was huge interest in this live on RTE, sold out. Huge buzz. The away fans behind the goal there as well. Tolka looked quite good and quite full, but what I would say is if Shells take their first 3 chances in that game, they could have been 3-0 up within the first 10 minutes. Darragh Burns' goal was kind of against the run of play, and it was just one of those where you just stand back and you go, wow, what a goal. It was an incredible finish, and he's an incredible player, and I think he's going to go on to big things if he can avoid injuries. I think he's such an intelligent player. He's a hard worker, and he's got quality. And it seems like players like Chris Forrester and all have given him the respect now and shown that he can make the difference in games. And he did make the difference, because when that first goal went in, it killed kind of the Shells fans' spirits a good bit. It was a party pooper for Damien Duff as well, because Shells were doing quite well. Jack Moylan was the star of the show from Shells' point of view. I thought he was excellent in anything good Shells did. Jack Moylan, he's just so good at carrying the ball and getting forward. Connor Kane was quite good on the left as well. But that's where Shells were getting popped off then on the counter attack, those balls in behind and stuff like that. So yeah, look, Shells a lot to learn still. Damien Duff has a lot to learn as well. But I think this will be a good lesson for Shells to learn. I think a good lesson for the fans as well, to realise like we can't come straight up into the league. I think we can go and beat Pats, who finished quite strongly and won the cup last year. You know, I know they lost a lot of players and stuff like that, but they still have quite good players like Chris Forrester, as you say. He ran the show then the second half, and he was just laughing at people. People were just flying into challenges with him. We've probably all seen the nutmeg he did on poor young Stanley. and then JR creased him after that because it was just like, felt like he was taking the piss probably. But from a Pat's point of view, I mean, it was a great win for them and a great win for Tim Clancy. He seemed quite happy after the game, despite running around the back of me and not doing a chat with me. I don't think it was intentional, to be fair. But I think Pat's fans would be happy with that, and I think that's something for them to build on, considering they lost the President's Cup last week on penalties. But I don't think they were that upset about that.
Yeah, I don't think they'd be too upset about losing on penalties in Tala in the President's Cup. Okay, is it a trophy? Is it just a pre-season? Yeah, that's a big win for Pats and a big start. And I said it was 4,100 there, sellout crowd. It's great to see. Now, Tolka can certainly hold a lot more than that, so maybe it just needs, hopefully the work will continue there. And it's good to see as well, I believe, in reading in the papers that Shelbourne are actually looking to buy Tolka back off
huge
off the
news.
corporation. Yeah, that's fantastic to see. And it would be a shame to lose Tolka to this league. It's a venue. Look, I've been going there since the 70s in variety of guises for games. And we don't have that many grounds in the league. And I think it needs to stay. And it would be great if that works out. And I think for Shells, it's become their spiritual home, at least since the 80s, and that's a long time ago now, despite what I might think. And it would be
not for me. Maybe younger listeners. I was born in the 90s, so it's not that far back for me. But what I will say is, Shell's actually announced today new investments as well. So an email went out there about an hour ago. I'll actually pull it up. Yeah. So. Well, I think it's from the 17th of February, which the Shelbourne FC has secured significant equity investment from Closebreak Limited. Closebreak shareholders include existing US-based board member Chris Farrell, leading Irish businessman Joe Devine, and a group of prominent American professionals working in finance, media and law. These include Steve Silver and Gavin Baera, who are both managing directors with Centrebridge Partners LP, and Justin Breen, head of leverage finance at Proscour Rose. As a result of the investment, Joe Devine has joined the board and Gavin Baera becomes a board observer. The investment will support the achievement of Shelbourne's strategic vision and the implementation of our 5-year plan. And then there's just a couple of quotes after that, but we'd be here all day if I read them. So there's more investment gone in. So if that is the case of buying Tolka, then they will definitely have to do the work that needs being done there to make Tolka Park a more modern ground for fans to go to, because the way it is at the moment, it's just not it's cool because it's an old type ground, but like honestly, you need, like, it's becoming run down slowly but surely, and all it needs is some work done to it, and hopefully they can make it more modern, you know.
Yeah, it needs to be attractive to bring families there. I mean,
yeah.
Look, I've had my kids in Tolka, and I certainly wouldn't want to have them near the toilets in the away end. Hopefully they have improved. But if you got to look at something like Tala Stadium, which is a fantastic stadium, it's a great place to go. It's a great place to bring families, and that really should be the model around the league. And well, hopefully that's going to happen with Tolka as well, and with Dalymount.
Yeah, no, I would agree. So it seems like it's exciting times for Shelbourne at the moment, and obviously with that investment coming in then as well on top of that. But I kind of feel like everything was so overshadowed with Damien Duff that no one actually was caring about what Tim Clancy was doing or St. Pat's were doing. And I think actually they benefited from that. I think Tim Clancy would have been like, oh, look, all the talks about Damien Duff, blah, blah, blah. We focus on ourselves. We're going to try and get the win. And that's what they did. So I spoke to Darragh Burns earlier today, so you can hear what he had to say here. Right, we are joined on the line by St. Patrick's athletic winger Darragh Burns. Darragh, how are you feeling after Friday night breaking my heart? Some goal. Talk me through it.
Yeah, no, it was a special night, wasn't it? Had a few old ex-teammates who I played with Shells when I was a baby. They were in the crowd and getting a few messages off them after the game and all. But no, it was a special night. And first day of the season, you want to start off strong, and to do it live on RTE and scoring the goal, I think I've got a lot of praise about it. And my phone's actually blew up since the game, since I hit the back of the net. But no, it was a special night and probably one of my favourite goals I've scored.
Yeah, I suppose you couldn't have picked a better occasion to score the goal on. Or you had the cameras everywhere. You had some crowd there as well. I suppose that these are the nights we kind of want to see back in the League of Ireland. Just in terms of the atmosphere. Sold out grounds all around the country. So it's amazing to see.
Yeah, no, it was a full house. Tolka won it, 3,500, 4,000 around that. I think the last 2 years in the league has been it's grown in positivity. Obviously, a lot of young lads making the move this window, and I'm obviously still at Pats, but no, I'm loving it. The last 2 years have been very good to me, and I think the league's grown and it's grown in the right direction. And as you said, a big crowd there on Friday night. And Tolka, that has a lot of history, and obviously all the drama about it being maybe getting knocked down, but the atmosphere was unbelievable. For a young lad playing a game like that and playing an atmosphere like that was great.
Yeah, I look at the Pats team, and obviously he's had the loss against Shamrock Rovers last week, and he's obviously looking to bounce back from that. I mean, do you call it a loss? In over 90 minutes it was a draw, really. I mean, he's lost on penalties, but I'm sure you were looking at that as a way to kind of bounce back. But as well as that, I think St. Pat's have kind of gone under the radar a little bit. Obviously there's a new manager there with Tim Clancy and stuff like that. Some players have gone, some players have came in, but you've kind of kept players like yourself, Chris Forrester, who ran the show second half, and there's other players there, I'm sure, but you've lost players, big players, I suppose, Lee Desmond and that as well. So how has it been kind of pre-season coming into the season there? We're kind of losing big characters within the dressing room and then bringing in players.
Yeah, no, obviously there was a lot of chopping and changing in pre-season, and look, it's the League of Ireland for you, and there's not a lot of stability in the league, unfortunately, but you're going to get comings and goings every year, and yeah, we've lost big players, big characters, but we brought some big name players into the club, and obviously Tim has come in, who's been brilliant for the team, and me personally, obviously he started me the last 2 games, and I'm very grateful for the minutes he's given me. And look, you have to adapt to the situation you're in. We had a great season last year, but unfortunately, that won't matter this year. Like, we won the cup, and there's maybe that little bit of pressure on us, maybe, but I don't think that should be, because what we done last year with the group we had was brilliant. But as you said, there's changes this year, so obviously there's going to be talk saying what happened with losing Matty, Lee, obviously Stephen O'Donnell left, but that looks after itself. We can only do what we can and who we have in the change room. And to be honest with you, it's a very, very strong dress room. Great characters in there, and pre-season's been up and down. We were getting used to playing together and gelling, and obviously last week, as you said, got beat by Rovers on penalties, but I thought it was a strong performance last week. Obviously, we could have been 2 or 3-0 up. Don't think I'm being biased there either, because we had chances, and if we took them chances, maybe people would have been scratching their head thinking, Jesus, Pat's team turned Rovers over in Pala, but we didn't do it, so they ended up in the President's Cup. But no, I'm looking forward to the season, and I think there's a good group there, so let's see where it takes us. And as you said, Chris done very well on Friday night when the man of the match. He controlled the game in midfield, and we've very good players up there. Alan Doyle, Mark Doyle, they were brilliant. Jamie Lennon, I thought was very good, and then the boys at the back keeping a clean sheet. So start on a positive note, and looking forward to next week now already.
Yeah, I just look at the team that played the other night, yourself and James Abanqua, 2 very young lads, and you've got a manager like Tim Clancy who seems to put all his trust and faith in you lads. I was sitting near enough to the dugout, so I saw that Tim Clancy was constantly at you, like just getting in your ear, not in a negative way, but just he seems to have a bit of a soft spot for you in terms of he knows that you can be a player that can change the game.
Yeah, no, as you said, Tim's been brilliant. I think when he was at Drogheda, I was actually a big fan of his, the way his teams played. And a lot of his attacking players scored a lot of goals, and he said to me at the start of the season he wanted to get more goals into my game. I think last year I had a good season, but I constantly want to improve, and we've obviously spoke to Tim, and it's been a positive chat to him. So if I can get more goals and assists and more minutes, it'd be a positive for me, and me and Tim have a good relationship, so I'm delighted.
Yeah, because if you look at, as you said, with Drogheda, he had a good combination of experienced players and young players and bringing them together, and it ended up being a really good season for Drogheda, and they probably overachieved last year. I assume this season St. Pat's will want to overachieve as well. Now, I don't know what overachieving is from a St. Pat's point of view after winning the cup last year, but considering you lost a couple of players and that, it looks like it's going to be an exciting season for St. Pat's anyway.
Yeah, you don't know what overachieving is at Pats either the way. To be honest, we want to take it week by week and game by game, because when you have other people obviously in the media and everyone around the league world hyping you up, I think as Chris said on Friday night, if you say too much, you can look a bit silly. So we'll just take it week by week and see where it takes us. We've a good group there, and you know what? Obviously, we want to win games, but we'll see where we are at the end of the season. It's only one game into the season. We've had a good start by getting a lot of praise, but we might go through a bad patch and we might be getting a bit of stick. So we've a tight group there, and we'll look after each other and see what happens.
Well said. Well, I suppose I'll leave you to it. Thanks very much for dropping in and giving us your input, because I didn't get a chance to speak to you after the game on Friday night. So well done again, and I'll speak to you soon. Nice one.
Paul, thanks.
So yeah, that's Darragh Burns there. Obviously delighted after getting his wonder strike. Guy, I suppose we'll move on to Dundalk and Derry. A 2-2 draw. Goals from Stephen Bradley, not the one you're thinking of, and Mark Connolly for Dundalk, and then Joseph Thompson and Jamie McGonigal scored for Derry. I suppose in this one it was a lot of eyes were on this game, considering all the players that left Dundalk for Derry, and Patrick McElhenney was actually on the bench. But when you saw the result, did it surprise you? For me, with them being at Oriel Park, it didn't really surprise me that much.
No, I mean, I maybe thought Derry might have sneaked it, but I mean, they are, even though they've put together a real quality squad of players, they are going to take time to gel, etc. I was speaking to a friend of mine who was at the match supporting Dundalk, and it was an absolutely cracking game. It was played in front of a full house as well. In fact, they cancelled a load of tickets who were clearly Derry fans buying in the home end, and they only put tickets on sale in Oriel Park to actually discourage, to make it easier for home fans to buy them. But cracking game. Dundalk led twice. Derry definitely deserved the point. McGonigal could have won it right to the death, but I think that would have been a little bit unfair on Dundalk, who played really well. But so look, we were talking about this earlier. It's a great start to the league. It's a great advertisement to the league. It's great to see such optimism in Oriel Park. There is going to be a lot of pressure on Dundalk as well, and on Stephen O'Donnell, because they have lost quite a few players, as you say, but the fans are going to be expecting quite a bit,
Yeah, well, don't forget they did lose players like Dan Cleary as well. Now I know they got a couple of players back from St. Pat's, like Benson and Mountain and stuff like that, but Benson, when he was leaving Dundalk that time, he was kind of on the way out, if you get me. Like, he wasn't at his absolute peak, and that's why Dundalk were letting him go. So he's back there now. I know he's a leader, and he helped Pats winning the FAI Cup. I think he's a fantastic player, but I don't think they're bringing back star players like they were. Like, I mean, they have let the likes of Duffy, McElhenney, Cleary, and all these players go. I'm sure Will Patchen as well was another one. But they have Brian Gartland, they have Andy Boyle, they have Pat Hubin. And I spoke to Brian Gartland at the League of Ireland launch, and he was saying, like, despite losing so many players, we have leaders in there. And I suppose we'll put what's his name in that bracket as well. Sorry, Benson in that category as well, who's a leader and has led the team in the past. So they do have leaders amongst. I know they might have a young, exciting team coming through, but from my point of view, I don't think Dundalk should be looking for anything less than top four.
I think certainly top four is going to be the target, but
minimum.
But if you take the league now, I mean, you have Shamrock Rovers with Pats you've talked about, you have Derry City who've all invested well. Bowes, okay, their game was off, but they're certainly going to be looking for top four. And you have Dundalk as well. So, And am I forgetting somebody in the battle for top four as well now with that? But
No, I wouldn't say so. There's
yeah.
Drogheda, Finn Harp Shells, UCD. I think that's it.
Sligo.
Sligo, yeah.
Sligo is certainly going to be in the battle for top four as well.
I thought you said them. Sorry.
They finished third last season, so yeah, I did. I knew I was forgetting somebody. Apologies, Sligo Rovers fans, but you have 6 teams there that can realistically expect to target Europe and qualify for Europe, and I think it's going to be difficult for Dundalk. But there is a great buzz around the club at the moment. It was great to see the sellout crowd again on Friday night, and I think it was a decent point for Dundalk. I know they were at home in Oriel Park, and I know they led twice, but drawing 2-2 at home to Derry is still a decent result.
Yeah, I think with Derry, I think they're going to get better as the season goes on. I think there's a lot of new players to come in there, and I think it'll take time for Higgins to really get the mould of his team, because he has a lot of young players there coming through as well. Don't forget, they've got Boyce, they've got Brian Marr, they've got Patching, he's young as well. Brandon Kavanagh. There's a lot of young players mixed in with those other players there, and I think it's going to be exciting to see how they pan out over the course of the season. And as well as that, I think Derry are one of those sides who get stronger as the season goes on. They don't necessarily start quick. They're not usually front runners in the race starting off, and they usually kind of get stronger over the course of the season, especially in recent years. So I think it's a good point for both teams, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
it's always good not to lose on the first day.
It's good not to lose, and away from home, it's a decent point for Derry. But I think they're going to be under pressure this season to start better. And Rory Higgins, he did a fantastic job when he came in, and he certainly improved them quite a bit. But he has had a lot of money to spend in the off season. Now I think he's bought very well and brought in some really quality players. But I think the fans, and talking about clubs, Derry City get queues out the road for season tickets. I mean, I've seen the pictures of the queues, and the demanding to stop selling season tickets. They'd sold so many to allow other fans to go and everything. That does bring its own pressures, and there is a quality squad there. But I think the minimum Derry would be expecting is Europe, and I think their fans, and I expect them as well. I expect them to challenge for the title. Maybe not pip Shamrock Rovers this year, but at least be up there. And I don't know if they're going to tolerate a slow start, and that's why Friday night's going to be a fascinating game.
Yeah, I think they should be looking to emulate Shamrock Rovers, when Shamrock Rovers were kind of on Dundalk's tail, but we're still finishing miles behind. You know, they were still building season upon season with a longer term view in mind. And I think that's what Derry have to do this season. So I think if Derry fans don't win it this season, they should be looking at definitely winning it next year, but being close this time around. I don't think anybody will keep up with Shamrock Rovers. I just think that they'll have too much strength and depth. But as you say, it would be good to have a title race. We know that both games after that were postponed. Derry and Sligo, Bohs and Sligo, and Finn Harps and Drogheda. So I suppose we'll skip on to the first division, and I'll come to the game that you were at with Treaty United. Seemed to be the pick of the bunch in terms of goals in the first division. So I suppose talk to me. Well, you were obviously at games throughout the pandemic and stuff like that, but what was it like being back properly?
Yeah, it was great, and as a Treaty United fan, it was a fantastic start to the season to go away from home and win 5-1. I will say the game could have gone differently at different points. Westford probably actually started the better side, but a well-worked move got Treaty ahead. Charlie Fleming got away down the right, and his cross was nodded on, and Callum McNamara was at the far post to head home. And that was after about 20 minutes. And pretty much straight after that, a bit of a scramble after a free kick. And Joel Custrain made it 2-0 to Treaty, which certainly flattered Treaty at that stage. Conor Davis got one back just before half-time. I think a corner seemed to fly all the way into the net. And right at the start of the second half, Wexford had a great chance to equalise. and ball was blazed over. And straight down the other end, Lee Devitt made a great run. He was taken down in the box, and Enda Curran slots home the penalty. And with the wind and the rain at Treaty's back in the second half as well, that was effectively game over, even though it was only about 4 minutes into the second half. And Curran got his second, another great run by Charlie Fleming, great finish. And Joe Gorman on his debut headed in number 5 as well. And even at 5-1, Wexford still had a few chances. And Wexford are probably better than last season. I think Dan McDonnell actually tipped them for the playoffs. They have made winnings in Conor Barry and Denny Corcoran, etc. So, but having said that, it's a fantastic start for Treaty. It's great to have a proper pre-season and a big travelling support. It's not easy to get from Limerick to Wexford. It's quite a hike, and a big travelling support there as well, which was good to see. And I know everyone was buzzing afterwards and bring on Athlone on Friday night and the first home game of the season. And I'm sure there's going to be a bumper crowd in the Markets Field as well.
And did you get dragged into a video with the travelling pundits this time around?
No, I didn't actually. No, I was actually watching their video. It's really entertaining, and they're great guys. And I'm happy to do a video with you anytime. They actually did interview quite a few Treaty fans, and I saw the interview with Mark Ludden as well. And they seemed a bit disappointed with the outcome naturally. And but I think Wexford will be better. I don't see them being bottom this season. I'm not sure about Dan's prediction that they'll make the playoffs, because there are a lot of strong teams in the first division, but they will be difficult to beat.
Yeah, I suppose 5-1, not a bad way to start off your first game of the season, is it?
No, but actually it was a lot of big away wins. Cork City going to Bray, that was one that really surprised me, going to Bray and winning 6-0. I know Paul Tierney was at that, but that was a real statement of intent from Cork. And Dylan McGlade, I think, with a hat-trick, and I think he got 2 or 3 assists as well. And look, Cork probably have the biggest budget in the league. They seriously underachieved last season, and I think they'll be looking to go up this season. But Waterford came down. Probably everyone was a bit surprised. I thought they'd win the playoff, and they won 5-2 in Athlone as well. Another serious statement of intent. They've put together a serious squad, another full-time outfit. And then you've Galway, who because of the 9-team league, didn't get to play this weekend. And I'm sure John Caulfield will be looking to win this division as well. A bit unfortunate for Longford and Cove that game was called off as well with the bad weather.
Yeah, so you've kind of gone through them all there. I think Ian Morris, I'm delighted for him to get off the mark. I hope he does well with Waterford this year, and I hope he can get them promoted. I'm sure you don't want that to happen because you want Treaty to get promoted, which is fine. I'd be happy to see Treaty get promoted if that means you're happy. I think Ian Morris, the way things kind of soured towards the end for him at Shells, I mean, he got the club promoted and then gets the sack. It was a bit harsh. So I think he's a really nice guy, and no matter what the outcome ever has been with Shells, he'll always stop and he'll always chat with you and he'll always be nice to you. And I think that's a character of the man, because you look at some other managers in the league, they're not always like that. So I have to say, Ian, always a very good guy and always very courteous in his chats after the game, and just in general when you see him out and about and at other things, he's always got a lot of time for you. So I think that's the reason why I have a soft spot and want to see him do well. But it's going to be tough because you've got Cork, as you say, 6-0 winners. They are going to be gunning to get back into the Premier Division. I mean, it's a real fall from grace for where they actually are, considering where they were a couple of seasons back. But it just goes to show you how quickly things can change in the league, considering just with money and stuff like that. If you spend beyond your means, you could find yourself in the first division. Shells have found out the hard way. Other teams have found out the hard way. But I think this time around they'll be looking to get it right, and they've signed smartly. And Colin Healy seems to have a good thing going there now, and a settled squad. So I think they will be looking to be favourites to go up within themselves, I think. But yeah, I think Treaty will settle for another season of kind of going under the radar, but overachieving. and finish it as high up as possible and just seeing how it goes. Tommy Barrett deserves great credit for the job he's done at Treaty to date, the players he's brought in, and the reaction he's got from the players in a positive sense. And then I suppose with the what do I call them? Do I call them Bray or do I call them Cabo? Or I don't know. I'm not even taking the piss.
I think it's Bray this season, isn't it? And East Coast next season.
All right. Well, yeah. I don't think that's shaping up to be the best situation. I think fans are gonna lose patience with that soon enough. I think if like Bray fans and stuff like that, I don't think they were happy with the idea to begin with. And I wouldn't say Cabinteely had a great amount of fans without being disrespectful in comparison to Bray. So it's just one of those ones, and when you're losing 6-0 and you're opening a game, it doesn't look good going forward.
No, I mean, I actually expected Bray to still challenge for the playoffs. So I was actually a bit shocked at that result. I mean, Cork going there and winning would not have been a major shock. I probably would have, but certainly going there and winning 6-0 is absolutely stunning to me. And it's fantastic for Cork, but it's an awful start for Bray. And as you say, things are not good. And I know virtually any of the Bray fans I know have been very, very unhappy with the merger and the way it was done. And I mean, if you're going to get, I think when you get in a situation like that, you probably need to have a good season and get the fans back on board. I mean, if you're winning games, if you're challenging promotion, then you can get the fans on side. No, it's one game, and they've been beaten by a very impressive Cork side who are going to look to win this division. But even as it stands, as I said, you have Waterford, full-time side, managed by Ian Morris. They're going to be serious contenders to win this division. Cork, another full-time side, serious squad again. They're going to be looking to win this division. You've John Caulfield in Galway, full-time. Probably the most impressive team in the second half of the season. They'd left themselves too much to do to catch Shells. But
Shells were still worried about them, though.
Sorry,
Shells were still worried about them, though.
They were, and I mean, it's. I actually fancied Galway to win the playoffs. I really did, because I was actually delighted Treaty avoided them. Now I know we got beaten by UCD as it turned out anyway, but I think Galway would have been most people's favourites going into that playoffs, at least to get to the final with the Premier Division side, and they were deservedly beaten by Bray. So I think John Caulfield, he's not in Galway to stay in the first division, and he's going to want to win this division as well. And Treaty, Tommy Barrett's done incredibly well, but the budget in Treaty is a fraction of what the other clubs have. And in some ways, it's an advantage that we get players like Mark Ludden, who's a good job and he can't commit to full-time football. And we're one of the options that's there when you're surrounded by Waterford, Cork and Galway, who all want to have players training full-time, which is the best way to have it. I mean, look, I'd rather Treaty were a full-time professional outfit as well, because that's the only real way you can compete with these sides. But it does have its advantages, and you can get players like Mark Ludden that way. But the three teams I've mentioned, at best, only two of them can get promotion this season. One of them probably will win the division. One of them, and only one more of them, can ultimately get up in the playoffs, and that would mean beating a Premier Division side as well. So at least one of those three is going to be bitterly disappointed, possibly two, and who knows, maybe even all three.
Yeah, no, I would agree. Obviously, there was the game at Longford, and we don't know how they're going to shape up this season as well. So it'll be interesting to see over the course of the season. Because we know in the first division it's mad, everyone can beat everyone, and that's what we want. But just to finish up with Paul Tierney, caught up with Dylan McGlade after the game, so you can hear what they had to say here.
Paul Tierney here, joined by hat-trick hero Dylan McGlade after Cork's massive 6-0 in the opening night. How'd you feel after that, Dylan? Super stuff?
Yeah, brilliant. Tough place to come, Carlisle. I know that from playing here. The conditions weren't ideal. So we knew it was going to be a tough ask to come up here and get the win, but obviously we've done a lot of work in pre-season. We're a very confident team. We're a very solid team as well, so to get 6 goals and to come away with a clean sheet is just, you can't ask for more really.
Yeah, and a special night for yourself as well, getting a hat-trick against your old side, as you mentioned already.
Yeah, no, definitely. I had a good time, good season here at Bray, under Niall. It's a good club and stuff, but obviously super excited to get a hat-trick on the first day. Just want to obviously just try kick on now and just hopefully keep going.
Yeah, and great travelling support as always for yourselves. Fantastic tonight, didn't stop singing.
Look, you can't say enough about the fans. They're absolutely excellent. Like they'll travel with us in numbers for this whole season. We're hoping that they're going to pack out Turner's Cross next week against Galway. You just can't, you hear them behind us there, like you just can't really put into words how much of a boost it is for the boys, especially when you come to a place like this. It's a tough game, tough conditions. They're cheering for 90 minutes in the freezing cold. Can't ask for any more.
Yeah, and obviously what started the season is the goal promotion this year. Surely it is after that especially.
Yeah, look, there's a lot of good teams in the division, us being one of them as well, where obviously expectations are high, especially for a massive club like Cork. But look, we're going to keep going. It's a good start, but we're not going to get too ahead of ourselves now. We're just obviously going to try keep taking game by game, and obviously hopefully just keep getting the results.
Yeah, and finally Galway next week, looking forward to that one.
Yeah, look, massive game. These are the games that you want to be playing in, big derbies. There's a big kind of sense that it's going to be kind of us, Galway, one or two other teams that are going to be going for the title this year. So obviously we want to kind of win that game and really put a stamp down this season. So look, yeah, massively looking forward to that. Hopefully, like I said, big crowd. Hopefully they'll bring a good travelling crowd as well. Just good atmosphere, and just like I said, they're just the games you want to be playing in.
Brilliant. Thanks very much, Dylan.
Cork will be buzzing. Games next week now, buzzing for them. So I suppose we'll wrap it up there, Gary, and we'll do another episode now again this time next week.
Okay. Cheers, guys.
Yeah, let us know your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like the video. Don't forget to subscribe, and we'll speak to you all soon. Thanks for watching.